Nestled in a remote corner of the world, the wildlife reserve stretched over hundreds of acres, a breathtaking expanse of wilderness teeming with life. Towering acacia trees swayed gently in the warm breeze, while shimmering lakes reflected the bright blues and vibrant greens that surrounded them. The air buzzed with sounds, chattering monkeys, chirping birds, and rustling leaves as animals moved through the underbrush, creating a rich tapestry of nature's symphony. If you enjoy this video, please like the video and subscribe for more, and tell me where you are watching from today. I always find it awesome to see where all my viewers are watching from. Let's get back to the video. This was a magical place where every sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and pink, inviting visitors to marvel at its splendor. However, beneath this idyllic surface lay a harsh reality. Despite its beauty, the wildlife reserve was under constant threat from poachers who sought to exploit its resources for profit. The rangers stationed there worked tirelessly, dedicating their lives to protecting the animals from those with greed in their hearts. Armed with knowledge and determination, they patrolled day and night, always on high alert for signs of illegal activity. Each rustle of leaves could mean danger. Each shadow could conceal a poacher keen on causing harm. The rangers understood their mission well. They were guardians of not only the endangered species living within the reserve, but also of the delicate ecosystem that flourished there. They often shared stories around a campfire about their encounters with majestic animals, a lion's roar echoing across the plains, or the sighting of a rare bird soaring above these vast stretches of land. These tales bonded them as they faced challenges together. Inside this stunning landscape lived many incredible creatures. Elephants towered like gentle giants among them, forging lasting bonds within their herds and displaying intelligence that often left observers in awe. One particularly magnificent bull elephant was known to roam these parts. He stood out not just for his size, but also for his calm presence that seemed to soothe any creature around him. The rangers had come to respect him as more than just an animal. He was part of their team in spirit. But as beautiful as this reserve appeared, it bore witness to episodes that tugged at heartstrings. The sound of elephants trumpeting in distress when they sensed danger drew watchful eyes from concerned rangers. Every situation reminded them that they needed to remain vigilant against poachers who saw these remarkable beings simply as targets for profit. Despite the foreboding risks lurking on the horizon, hope persisted among the rangers, the hope that love for nature could triumph over greed. Every day brought new challenges, but it also brought opportunities for connection between humans and wildlife to flourish even more deeply. Every ranger had unique training that focused on both protecting wildlife and respecting its space. As they went about their rounds, sometimes on foot or by vehicle, they immersed themselves in nature's classroom, studying animal trails or noting changes in behavior during different seasons. Through their eyes and hearts, the reserve transformed into a vibrant storybook filled with adventures and surprises around each corner. A place where future generations could witness what harmony looks like when beasts roam free under sunlit skies. Yet ominously looming overhead was always an awareness that alarmingly echoed back. Poachers lurked just beyond where sight failed them, a danger faced almost daily by those who dedicated themselves earnestly to safeguarding what was precious within these lands. The tension brought by poaching underscored everything about life here. Every duty performed was underscored with urgency. The very thrill woven into each expedition hinged upon being aware that around any bend could lie perilous confrontations capable of altering destinies forever. It was imperative not only to protect against those threats, but face them head-on when required. Because misstep might mean irreparable loss impacting not only one's team, but also generations upon generations woven together through intricate cycles, birthed through natural majesty itself. Against this dramatic backdrop, unfolded acts revealing courage. Acts which would not only astonish friends gathered around fireside nights recounting stories afterwards, but ultimately change hearts in ways none could imagine possible until destiny propelled forth an unexpected hero whose presence fortified bonds deeper than mere trust alone. And so, standing at this crossroads between vulnerability and valor felt like embarking onto uncharted pathways destined soon entwined, writing new chapters against all odds. Among the devoted rangers patrolling the wildlife reserve was a young woman named Mia. With her sun-kissed skin and bright, sparkling eyes, she exuded a warmth that mirrored the beauty of her surroundings. Mia had always been drawn to nature from a young age, spending countless hours outside, immersed in the vibrant world of animals and plants. Her passion blossomed into a lifelong commitment to protect these creatures, leading her to become one of the most dedicated rangers in the reserve. Mia wore her ranger uniform proudly, a snug green shirt adorned with a badge that symbolized her purpose, guarding the delicate balance of nature. Each morning, she set out before dawn, eager to experience the magic that unfolded as the sun rose over the horizon. Armed with a pair of binoculars and a camera slung around her neck, she felt ready to capture not just images, but moments that celebrated the wonder of wildlife. Her enthusiasm was evident in every step she took. Even her fellow rangers admired her dedication. Mia often led morning briefings, sharing her keen observations of animal behaviors and threats she had witnessed during her rounds. The way she spoke about the animals made it clear that they were not just statistics to her. They were friends with their own stories and struggles. Mia's favorite part of her day was when she could encounter the gentle giant, the bull elephant that roamed through the reserve. She had spent countless hours observing him from a distance, learning about his habits and interactions with his herd. To Mia, he embodied strength and wisdom, a silent sentinel watching over his family and their territory. As she ventured deeper into the reserve on one particular morning, Mia felt an exhilarating rush of excitement. The air was thick with anticipation, and the sun peeked through the trees, illuminating the path ahead. She knew today could bring new adventures as she explored areas where few dared to tread. Equipped with knowledge gained from years of experience, Mia embraced each moment with an open heart and mind. As she walked along familiar trails, Mia took time to listen closely to the rustling leaves and soft calls of nearby animals. Relaxed yet alert, she understood the importance of being aware of her surroundings. A rustle could signal a potential threat or an exciting discovery. After all, this land was alive with stories waiting to be uncovered. During her patrols, Mia often encountered wildlife in various stages of life. Playful baby elephants learning to use their trunks, or families of zebras grazing peacefully under watchful eyes. These moments brought joy that fueled her commitment even more. She believed that every creature deserved protection and respect, and she made it her mission to ensure they thrived amid challenges posed by poachers. One day, while venturing further into one of the reserve's hidden valleys, Mia stumbled upon a mother elephant and her calf playing near a watering hole. Instantly captivated, she crouched low behind a bush to observe them without disturbing their playful antics. The bond between mother and child was beautiful. They splashed water on each other while swaying their trunks in delight. It was experiences like this that reinforced Mia's belief in protecting these creatures' home. But as much as she loved these encounters, a shadow loomed over every joyful moment. The ever-present threat from poachers seeking to profit from nature's treasures. The stories shared among rangers carried warnings about their greed and lack of respect for wildlife. Mia often reflected on how important it was for rangers like her to remain vigilant against such dangers. Fueled by determination to create a safer world for animals, Mia took part in training sessions designed to prepare rangers for confrontations should they arise. She studied maps showing areas where poaching incidents had occurred and practiced strategies for protecting herself while defending the wildlife she held dear. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, Mia's connection with both the animals she watched over and her fellow rangers deepened as they faced challenges together. They shared laughter around campfires while recounting tales of triumphs and fears, each story bonding them closer together as comrades working towards a common goal, preserving this remarkable sanctuary for generations to come. Through their efforts, and with Mia leading by example, a bright hope shimmered in even the darkest corners of this wild paradise. That love for nature could prevail over greed, one courageous act at a time. And so began a journey intertwined with courage, where vulnerability met valor, and destiny wrote its narrative among conquerors determined never to back down. As the sun rose higher in the sky, casting warm rays across the vast wildlife reserve, a sense of urgency filled the air among the rangers. While Mia and her fellow guardians cherished their roles in protecting the animals, they were acutely aware of the lurking threat that poachers posed to their mission. The poachers not only endangered the wildlife, but also created an atmosphere of fear that rippled through the hearts of dedicated rangers like Mia. Poachers were often driven by greed, seeking to profit from illegal activities such as hunting endangered species or harvesting animal parts for black market sales. Ivory from elephant tusks, horns from rhinoceroses, and skins from big cats fetched high prices, making these majestic creatures targets for ruthless individuals. Each encounter with poachers was a stark reminder of how quickly beauty could turn into tragedy. The rangers understood that the stakes were high. Every day they risked their lives while patrolling the reserve. It wasn't just about protecting animals. It was about standing up against those who would exploit nature for selfish gain. Mia often found herself replaying stories shared by her fellow rangers about close calls with poachers, heart-pounding encounters that left them shaken, yet profoundly motivated to continue their duty. The tactics employed by poachers were devious and often violent. They moved silently through the dense underbrush, equipped with high-powered rifles and traps designed to capture unsuspecting animals. Their presence was like a dark cloud hanging over the reserve, casting a shadow on every moment of joy that Mia and her team experienced while observing wildlife. During one particularly tense week, reports of poacher activity surged within the reserve's boundaries. Rangers received the word of illegal snares set in locations where elephants roamed freely. Mia felt a knot tighten in her stomach as she imagined the suffering these traps could cause. The thought of a majestic creature caught and struggling brought tears to her eyes. She knew she had to do everything in her power to prevent such heartbreak. With each passing day, Mia and her fellow rangers conducted extensive patrols, often working late into the night armed with flashlights and radios. They communicated through hand, signals, and whispered conversations as they scoured familiar paths for signs of illegal activity. The tension was palpable. Each rustle in the bushes could indicate either a curious animal or an approaching danger. Mia often recalled one harrowing incident when she and two other rangers stumbled upon a group of poachers setting up camp near a watering hole frequented by elephants. Heart racing, they quickly devised a plan to alert their team without being detected. They knew that confronting poachers head-on could lead to dangerous confrontations. One misstep could endanger not just their lives, but also the precious wildlife they sought to protect. In moments like these, Mia relied on her training and instincts honed throughout her time as a ranger. She understood the importance of remaining calm under pressure. After all, panic could cloud judgment and lead to mistakes that could have dire consequences. Instead, she focused on gathering information about the poachers' movements while remaining hidden in the shadows. Fortunately, they successfully reported back to headquarters without incident, allowing backup rangers to intervene before any harm could be done. The sense of relief felt palpable among them when they learned that no animals had been harmed during this particular operation. Such victories reminded them of why their work mattered. The bond between ranger and wildlife was worth every ounce of effort put forth. Despite these successes, each encounter with poachers left scars on Mia's heart. The realization that some individuals would go to great lengths for profit haunted her thoughts late at night as she lay beneath starry skies filled with hope for change, yet burdened by uncertainty regarding humanity's darker side. Still, hope remained strong among the ranger team. They became closer as they faced adversity together. They shared laughter amidst tension-filled moments while reflecting on how far they had come as protectors standing against greed's encroachment into nature's sanctuary. Mia often reminded herself and others that resilience must be matched by action if they hope to safeguard this fragile ecosystem for generations to come. With each day rising anew against past shadows cast by dark intentions unfurling outside their realm, a commitment grew stronger. Together, they would continue fighting against threats posed by those who sought only destruction instead of preservation. Among the diverse inhabitants of the wildlife reserve, one creature stood out above all others: the majestic bull elephant known fondly as Tambo. With his towering stature and impressive mass, Tambo was a true giant of the savanna, embodying both strength and grace. His massive frame, often seen silhouetted against the fiery hues of sunset, evoked awe from everyone who had the privilege to witness him in person. Tambo's size was unparalleled. He measured over 12 feet tall at the shoulder and weighed nearly 7 tons. Each step he took reverberated through the ground, a gentle reminder of his incredible power. His sheer presence commanded respect among other animals. Yet it was his gentle nature that endeared him to the rangers, especially Mia. Tambo moved with an elegance that belied his tremendous weight, his powerful legs allowing him to traverse rocky terrain and dense underbrush effortlessly. His large ears flapped like sails in the wind, helping to regulate his body temperature while also enhancing his already acute sense of hearing. With keen awareness and intelligence glimmering in his deep-set eyes, Tambo navigated the landscape with a mix of curiosity and caution. He had earned a reputation as a protector of the herd. It was not uncommon to see him standing sentinel near younger elephants or leading them toward water sources with unmatched care. Mia often marveled at Tambo's interactions with his family members. Elephants are known for their strong social bonds, and Tambo exemplified this beautifully. He would gently nudge calves with his trunk, encouraging them to play in mud puddles or splash joyfully at nearby watering holes. Watching him interact with them brought smiles to Mia's face. In these moments, he radiated warmth and kindness that spoke volumes about his character. Despite being such a powerful creature, Tambo displayed remarkable gentleness when interacting with surrounding wildlife. On one occasion, Mia observed him sharing space with a group of zebras grazing peacefully nearby. Instead of chasing them away or asserting dominance, he stood quietly, allowing them to feel safe in his presence. This harmony among species highlighted Tambo's nurturing spirit, a reminder that even the strongest beings could coexist peacefully within this vibrant ecosystem. His relationship with Mia went beyond mere observation. She felt a bond with him that transcended words. Over time, their paths crossed more frequently, as she patrolled areas where he roamed. When she spotted Tambo in the distance, her heart swelled with pride and affection for this magnificent creature who seemed to understand her devotion to wildlife conservation. However, it wasn't just Tambo's gentle demeanor that made him significant. It was also his courage. The rangers often spoke about how he would stand protectively over his herd during times of distress or danger. It was said that when poachers ventured too close, Tambo would charge fearlessly towards them, using his size and power to drive threats away without hesitation. One day during a tense patrol, when Mia and her fellow rangers felt particularly on edge due to reports of poachers in the area, they spotted Tambo standing at a distance near a grove of acacia trees. Instantly sensing their anxiety, he lifted his head high as if tuning into their emotions. As if acknowledging their concerns, he began moving purposefully towards them, a powerful figure marching with purpose through the tall grasses. In that moment, Mia felt overwhelmed by gratitude for Tambo's presence. Here was an embodiment of strength stepping into an uncertain landscape filled with shadows cast by greed and despair. An unwavering guardian willing to defend what mattered most: life itself. Their connection grew deeper with every encounter. Mia found solace knowing that while poachers might threaten wildlife, creatures like Tambo showed resilience worth protecting. She often imagined how different life would be without such majestic beings roaming free. A world devoid of their beauty would be far less vibrant and meaningful. As days passed within the reserve's expansive embrace, filled with challenges faced daily by both rangers and wildlife alike, Mia stood resolute beside Tambo, the giant bull elephant whose unwavering spirit reflected both strength and vulnerability, a symbol of hope shining brightly through dark times ahead. Together, they forged an unbreakable bond against forces seeking only destruction, turning peril into protection while illuminating paths leading toward brighter tomorrows where harmony reigned supreme. On a particularly hot afternoon, the air shimmered with heat as the sun hung high in the sky. Mia and her fellow ranger, Tom, moved cautiously along a narrow path, scanning the horizon for any signs of wildlife or danger. The tranquility of the reserve belied the tension they felt, knowing that poachers had been reported nearby. They had been patrolling for hours, determined to hike to the watering hole where Tambo often brought his herd to drink. Suddenly, a rustle in the nearby bushes caught Mia's attention. She held up her hand to signal Tom to stop. Both rangers froze, their hearts racing as they strained to listen. The sounds of nearby birds and rustling leaves faded into an eerie silence. Mia's instincts kicked in. Something was off. Before she could articulate her concerns, the silence was shattered by loud voices, harsh, guttural tones speaking in low whispers just beyond the thicket. Mia leaned closer to Tom, who had already reached for the radio clip to his belt. "We need to report this," he whispered. But Mia shook her head. "I think we should observe first," she cautioned. "We can't let them know we're here." Tom reluctantly agreed, and they carefully moved closer, crouching low behind some bushes. Peering through the thick greenery, their eyes widened as they spotted 4 men wearing camouflaged clothing and armed with rifles, each one looking rough and threatening. They were clearly poachers, the very people Mia and Tom had vowed to protect against. The sight of their weapons sent chills down Mia's spine. Her heart raced not just for herself, but for the animals that couldn't defend themselves. The poachers were crowded around a makeshift table spread with tools used for setting snares and capturing unsuspecting animals. Callous tools designed to injure and kill. One of the men held a smartphone displaying images of animal tracks marked on a map of the reserve. "They'll be here soon," he said with an unsettling grin. We'll catch them all if we set these traps right. Mia felt a wave of anger and fear surge inside her. They were talking about Tambo and his herd, animals she loved deeply. Without thinking twice, she turned back towards Tom and spoke under her breath. "We need to get back to headquarters now." But before they could retreat quietly, a branch snapped underfoot, a simple mistake that reverberated through the tense atmosphere like thunder. The poachers' heads snapped up in alarm, eyes narrowing as they scanned their surroundings. "Did you hear that?" one poacher said, gripping his rifle tighter. Mia's heart raced as she locked eyes with Tom. It was now or never. They both knew they had to act quickly before the poachers discovered them. With urgency driving them forward, they darted back down the trail along which they'd come. But their escape was short-lived. Out of nowhere, another figure emerged from behind a nearby tree. A second group of poachers had been positioned nearby. Panic set in as Mia realized they were surrounded. "Stay calm," she whispered sharply to Tom while gauging their options. Containing her fear was no small feat. Adrenaline coursed through her veins as a thought flitted through her mind. They needed help. Keeping low and stealthy seemed like their only chance. Until suddenly Tambo walked into view from between two trees. He stood enormous and majestic against the backdrop of dense foliage. It was as if he were sensing the peril in which they found themselves. "Mia, what do we do now?" Tom gasped beside her as Tambo took notice of the poachers. With unfaltering courage, Tambo trumpeted loudly. His powerful call echoed through the reserve like an alarm bell ringing out across open savannas. The sound resonated powerfully through every crevice of existence within that sanctuary. The unseen bond between guardian ranger and fearless giant reaching far beyond mere words. The presence of Tambo stunned everyone. Even the poachers hesitated at this sudden show of strength from such an imposing creature. They couldn't believe what they saw. A bull elephant facing them defiantly while protecting his herd. In that pivotal moment, Mia felt strength wash over her. An undeniable force radiating from Tambo bolstered her determination to act swiftly rather than cower in fear. Together with Tom, she moved out from behind cover into full view just as Tambo charged forward, trampling towards where poachers stood frozen in astonishment. Mia raised her radio high above her head, with one intent on gathering reinforcements. Their moment was upon them. With fortitude brimming around them, a giant's courage fueled their emboldened steps towards safety, the wild, still swirling chaos challenging their every footfall. But daring belief pushed onward, as chaos erupted among startled faces caught off guard by nature's force, and powerful allies took stock joining bonds unbroken. Hope soared alongside thrilling echoes shimmering beneath sunlit skies, while promises made became fierce realities, shaping journeys destined, never abandoned, amidst shadows lurking beyond edges defined by light. As the situation escalated, fear and tension hung thick in the air. Mia and Tom felt the weight of their vulnerability as they stood behind the cover of dense brush, their hearts pounding in sync with the powerful beat of Tambo's presence. The poachers, momentarily stunned by the sight of the giant bull elephant, exchanged nervous glances, unsure of how to react. They had come prepared to confront the rangers, but had not anticipated facing such an overwhelming force of nature. With a deep rumble echoing from his massive chest, Tambo took a step forward, his enormous feet crushing the underbrush beneath him. The ground trembled slightly as he advanced, showcasing both his power and grace. His large ears flared out like sails catching the wind, and his intelligent eyes locked onto the poachers with a fierce intensity. In that moment, it was clear that he was not just an animal. He was a guardian, ready to protect all that he held dear. Mia could feel her heart swell with admiration for Tambo as he positioned himself between her and the poachers. It was as if he understood the danger they were in and knew exactly what was at stake. The poachers hesitated, momentarily paralyzed by Tambo's imposing figure. They were clearly uncertain whether to retreat or press on against this unexpected obstacle. Then, in an instant, Tambo trumpeted loudly, an earth-shaking call that echoed across the reserve, sending ripples through the air. The sound was both a warning and a declaration of defiance against anyone who would threaten his herd or his land. It reverberated in Mia's chest, igniting a spark of courage within her. She was not alone. She had Tambo by her side. "Now!" Mia shouted to Tom, finding her voice amid the chaos as she stepped out from behind the bush. Tom followed suit, adrenaline fueling their actions as they positioned themselves behind Tambo, ready to support him in any way they could. The poachers' initial shock began to wear off as they collectively aimed their rifles at Tambo. "Get back!" one of them shouted with a mix of anger and fear, trying to assert control over the situation. But Tambo remained steadfast, unflinching beneath their threats. Drawing upon his formidable strength and instinctive protective nature, Tambo charged forward with surprising speed for such a large creature. His massive body moved like a freight train barreling down its tracks, unstoppable and full of purpose. Dust kicked up around him, creating an almost mythical aura as he closed the distance between himself and the poachers. The men stumbled backward in shock as they saw this towering guardian coming toward them. Some dropped their weapons in panic, realizing they were no match for Tambo's might. It was a moment frozen in time, nature's spirit standing firm against human greed. With powerful strides, Tambo pushed forward until he stood mere feet away from the trembling poachers. He raised his trunk high into the air and let out another fierce trumpet that echoed throughout the reserve, a sound that conveyed both warning and authority. It seemed to say, "You will not harm my family." In that moment of confrontation, Mia felt a surge of hope replace her earlier fear. She knew she had to act swiftly to help secure their safety and ensure that the poachers wouldn't gather their wits again. With her radio still raised high above her head, she yelled for backup once more while keeping her eyes locked onto the poachers, determined not to let them escape. "Stay back," Tom called out behind her, brandishing a flashlight to shine towards them as if it were a weapon of its own. Not meant for harm, but rather to intimidate those who dared threaten nature's sanctuary. The poachers were visibly shaken now. They exchanged panicked whispers before deciding to retreat into the dense foliage surrounding them. With one last glance at Tambo, who remained steadfast in his resolve, they turned and fled deeper into the woods. Relief flooded through Mia as she saw them disappear from view. It was over, for now, but she knew this encounter would leave lasting impressions on everyone involved. As Tambo lowered his trunk slowly toward them, offering reassurance with gentle eyes filled with understanding, Mia took a deep breath. They had faced danger together today, the ranger and the elephant forming an unbreakable bond forged by courage amidst chaos. In that wild moment, filled with uncertainty, turned victory. Their hearts united in purpose, illuminated paths leading toward brighter tomorrows, where harmony reigned supreme once more. As Tambo charged forward, his powerful form moving with a fearsome grace, the poachers stood frozen in disbelief. Their eyes widened as they watched the giant bull elephant advance, every bit the guardian he was meant to be. A moment before, they had been confident in their plans to capture unsuspecting animals. Now, they were confronted by an overwhelming force of nature that they had not prepared for. The initial shock quickly turned into panic. The sound of Tambo's trumpet echoed through the reserve like a rolling thunder, filled with authority and urgency. It was a sound that could make even the bravest of hearts quiver with fear. As Tambo stood tall and defiant between them and the rangers, the poachers exchanged frantic glances, realizing just how outmatched they were. One of the poachers, a burly man with a scar running along his cheek, dropped his rifle in shock. "What the hell is that?" he exclaimed, stumbling backward as he tried to process what he was witnessing. The others were equally flabbergasted, their bravado evaporating in an instant. They had come into the reserve armed, with weapons and confidence, but were now facing an unyielding guardian determined to protect his territory. "Back away!" shouted another poacher, though it came out more as a plea than a command. Fear gripped their hearts as Tambo continued his advance, each thundering step reverberating through the ground like a warning bell tolling for those who dared threaten his land and family. Mia crouched low beside Tom, both rangers relieved yet apprehensive. She could see the poachers' fear reflected in their faces. They were no longer men ready to claim victory over nature. They were merely prey, caught in the crosshairs of something far more powerful than themselves. "Are we seriously going to fight that?" One of the younger poachers whispered nervously, clutching his weapon tightly but visibly shaken by Tambo's presence. The notion that they could overpower such a magnificent beast began to fade from all their minds. Tambo raised his trunk high, waving it as if signaling them to retreat. His giant ears flapped against his massive head, a display of both majesty and warning. And for the first time since this confrontation began, Mia saw uncertainty flicker in the eyes of the poachers. Seeing their hesitance, Mia seized her opportunity. "Now's your chance. Move back," she urged Tom urgently, while keeping her gaze fixed on Tambo. Although she felt small compared to such power, she drew strength from it and stood her ground alongside him. Tambo trumpeted again, this time more ferociously, his voice rising above all else around them like an orchestra playing its final crescendo. The sound vibrated through the air and stirred something primal within all who heard it. It was clear. This land belonged to Tambo and those who respected it. Anyone else was unwelcome. The burly man who had dropped his rifle quickly snapped back to reality and gestured for his companions to retreat. "Get out, now!" he shouted frantically at his fellow poachers as he dashed backward into the underbrush, completely forgetting about their intended prey. The other men needed no further encouragement. They turned tail and began sprinting away from Tambo's intimidating presence. In mere moments, this band of would-be hunters transformed into frightened animals themselves, scurrying deeper into the bush from whence they'd come. Mia felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over her as she watched them flee, spurred on by Tambo's bravery and determination. The feeling of victory surged within her heart. Together with Tom and Tambo, they had defended their sanctuary from intruders seeking only harm. Once the poachers had vanished into obscurity, Tambo gradually relaxed his stance but remained vigilant, surveying for any remaining signs of danger. Mia approached him cautiously with Tom close behind. Both rangers wanted to express their gratitude and acknowledge his courageous act. "Tambo," Mia said softly, while reaching out her hand towards him. "You were incredible." His large eyes met hers with an understanding that transcended words. It was as if he knew he had fulfilled his role as protector, not just for his herd, but also for those humans who dedicated their lives to safeguarding their home. In that moment, shared among allies forged through unity against adversity, a powerful bond blossomed between ranger and elephant, a connection deeper than mere words could convey. Together, they stood resilient amidst threats faced within this wild paradise, where harmony would reign once more. after the poachers fled. An overwhelming wave of emotion washed over Mia as she took a moment to process what had just happened. Just moments earlier, she had been caught in a harrowing situation, her heart racing and fear coursing through her veins. But now, standing beside Tambo, she felt a profound sense of gratitude and awe. The majestic bull elephant had stepped in to protect her and Tom, demonstrating the incredible strength and courage that defined him. Mia glanced at Tambo, who stood tall and proud, his massive form silhouetted against the brightening sky. She could see the dust settling around him, remnants of the intense moment they had just shared. It struck her how much this encounter had changed their relationship. Tambo was no longer just an animal she admired from afar. He had become a hero, not only for his herd, but for her as well. With his wise eyes observing her, it was as if Tambo understood the significance of what had just happened. Mia felt a deep connection forming, a bond woven by trust, gratitude, and mutual respect. In that instance, she knew they were united not just as ranger and elephant, but as partners in protecting the sanctuary they both cherished. "Tambo," she breathed, approaching him slowly with her hand extended. "You were amazing out there." The feeling of admiration swelled in her heart as his large, intelligent gaze met hers. It was a look filled with understanding, an implicit acknowledgement of the danger they faced together. Tom stepped beside Mia, equally taken by the moment. "I can't believe how brave he was," he said, shaking his head in disbelief and appreciation. "What a presence. I felt so small next to him." There was a shared understanding between them. Both rangers realized how fortunate they were to witness such bravery firsthand. As they stood near Tambo, who began to lower his trunk gently toward them, Mia knelt down, reaching out to feel the soft bristle of his hair and the rough skin that housed so much wisdom. It was a tactile reminder of life intertwined with nature, the bond that should never be severed or taken for granted. Mia's thoughts drifted to the many animals in the reserve that depended on rangers like her for protection. The hardship faced by wildlife due to poaching weighed heavily on her heart. Every day brought new challenges as they fought against greed and destruction. Yet here was Tambo, a living embodiment of strength, defending not only himself, but also those who cared deeply for his kind. "This isn't just about us," Mia said softly, looking at Tom before turning back to Tambo. "It's about protecting every creature that calls this home." Her words struck deep within her spirit. She was reminded of why she had chosen this path, to fight fiercely for those who couldn't protect themselves. And with Tambo standing guard at her side, it felt more achievable than ever. The late afternoon sun cast a golden glow over the landscape as Mia and Tom continued to spend time with Tambo. They laughed and recounted tales of their various encounters with animals around the reserve. Each story told brought lightness back into the air after the recent tension. As they moved away from the scene of the confrontation, Mia remained aware of how the experience would shape her future as a ranger. Tambo had not only saved them today, he had ignited a fire within her, a renewed determination to defend wildlife and nurture bonds forged in trust. "What will we do if they come back?" Tom asked hesitantly as they walked beside their guardian. "Will we always have Tambo here?" Mia paused for a moment, considering his question seriously. "We'll train more rangers," she replied confidently. "Together, we'll continue to protect this place. Tambo will always have our backs." In that moment, it became clear. Their bond with Tambo wasn't merely about one act of bravery. It represented solidarity among all beings dedicated to preserving nature's fragile beauty. They were not alone in this battle. That evening, as they prepared to head back to headquarters for well-deserved rest after the day's events. Mia felt an inner peace settle within herself. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting vibrant colors across the sky, reminding her not just of the struggles, but also of the triumphs they shared. With every passing sunset, she knew Tambo would stand vigilant, and together they formed an indomitable force against threats that hovered beyond boundaries established by compassion and love for all living things. After the tension of the confrontation faded, the news of Tambo's courageous act spread like wildfire through the wildlife reserve. As word reached the base camp, excitement bubbled up among the rangers, who gathered to hear how their fellow team members had faced the poachers and come out victorious with Tambo's help. Mia and Tom arrived back at headquarters just before sunset, still buzzing from adrenaline and relief. As they stepped into the common area, they were met with cheers and applause from their colleagues. The atmosphere was electric, a vibrant mix of pride and celebration. "Did you see that elephant?" one ranger exclaimed, his eyes wide with awe. "Tambo is a legend. He stood his ground right against those poachers." Mia exchanged glances with Tom, both feeling their hearts swell with appreciation for their fearless companion. Joining the circle of rangers, Mia recounted every detail of the day's events. How they had stumbled upon the poachers and how Tambo had charged in to defend them. With every word she spoke, her fellow rangers leaned in closer, captivated by the tale. Mia could see their admiration growing not just for Tambo, but also for each other's commitment to protecting nature. Their collective spirit began to rise like a wave, lifting everyone's morale after a long battle against threats that seemed relentless at times. "Let's give him something special," suggested Sarah, one of the senior rangers known for her creativity. "Tambo deserves recognition for his bravery." Everyone nodded eagerly, brainstorming ideas to honor Tambo's courageous act. They decided to hold a small ceremony at the watering hole where they often spotted him, making it a celebration that would not only honor him, but also strengthen their resolve as guardians of the reserve. As preparations began, Mia felt inspired by her teammates' enthusiasm. They quickly gathered supplies, banners made from biodegradable materials, fruits like bananas and melons that Tambo loved, and even some homemade treats crafted from natural ingredients. Each item represented not just an offering, but a gesture of gratitude for the bond they shared with Tambo and the natural world around them. On the day of the ceremony, a warm sun bathed the reserve in golden light, complementing the joyful energy permeating through the team. They set up near the watering hole under a large acacia tree, its branches providing shade as animals watched curiously from nearby. The zebras grazing nonchalantly and birds chirping overhead. Once everything was ready, Mia took center stage, heart racing as she prepared to address her fellow rangers. "Today," she began, her voice strong yet filled with emotion, "we celebrate not only Tambo's bravery, but also our united commitment to protect this beautiful sanctuary." Applause erupted as Mia continued speaking about how Tambo had shown them what it truly meant to be guardians. Fearless protectors standing against adversity with unwavering strength. She highlighted how collaboration and courage could drive meaningful change within their mission. After her speech concluded, it was time to present Tambo with his gifts. As they called out to him using his name, an affectionate sound they had all learned, his massive form loomed into view from a distance. With elegant steps, he approached them as if sensing something special was happening. The rangers collectively held out fruits and treats in an offering gesture as Tambo reached them. His trunk curled gracefully around each piece. He savored every bite as cheers erupted around him once more. The sight of him enjoying the fruits warmed Mia's heart. It felt like a celebration of life itself. as laughter mingled with joy-filled conversations among rangers sharing stories about their encounters with wildlife over time. A renewed sense of purpose emerged stronger than ever. That night, under starlit skies, filled with constellations illuminating endless horizons, they bonded over shared dreams, dedicated toward preserving all wonders found within this sanctuary. United defenders devoted to protecting what mattered most. As dusk settled softly around them, casting gentle shadows across faces alight with joy. Each ranger knew they would face future challenges together alongside their trusted guardian, Tambo. Strengthened by connection, felt deep within hearts, intertwined through love for nature itself. In the days following Tambo's heroic act, the rangers at the Wildlife Reserve felt a sense of duty not only to celebrate his bravery, but also to ensure his ongoing safety and protection. They knew that Tambo had risked everything to defend Mia and Tom, and it was essential to honor him in a way that reflected the deep gratitude they felt for his fearless actions. The rangers gathered for a meeting filled with enthusiasm and shared ideas about how best to recognize Tambo's bravery. It was decided that a special tribute would be created, something that would serve as a permanent reminder of his courage, while also reinforcing their commitment to safeguarding him and his herd. Sarah, known for her artistic skills, volunteered to design a large mural at the ranger headquarters celebrating Tambo's spirit. The mural would depict Tambo charging against the poachers, showcasing not just his physical strength, but also symbolizing the unity among the rangers and wildlife. The team rallied behind her proposal. Everyone contributed their thoughts and sketches, eager to bring this tribute to life. Meanwhile, Mia spearheaded another initiative, establishing a protective perimeter around areas where Tambo and other elephants frequently gathered. She organized patrol schedules to ensure rangers were consistently monitoring these zones for any signs of poaching activity. They all understood that maintaining heightened vigilance was critical in preventing future threats. As part of this initiative, they also planned educational outreach programs aimed at local communities. Mia believed it was essential to foster a deeper understanding of conservation efforts beyond the reserve's boundaries. By engaging with neighboring villages, they could share information about why protecting elephants like Tambo was vital, not just for wildlife preservation, but also for maintaining the delicate balance of ecosystems that supported human communities. On a sunny afternoon, the day finally arrived for unveiling the mural. Everyone gathered at headquarters with excitement buzzing in the air. News traveled fast throughout the reserve about this celebration honoring Tambo. As they stood in front of the massive wall adorned with vibrant colors depicting Tambo's courageous stance, applause erupted among rangers and staff alike. Mia stepped forward to address her teammates, her voice filled with emotion. Today we honor not only Tambo's bravery, but also our commitment as guardians of this sanctuary, she proclaimed, looking around at her fellow rangers who had become like family over time. Let this mural remind us every day of what we fight for, the protection of our wildlife and each other. As she spoke, some rangers wiped away tears of joy, while others cheered enthusiastically. It wasn't just a mural. It represented their collective resolve, a symbol portraying camaraderie built through shared trials faced within these wild lands. Afterward, they celebrated with refreshments prepared by Sarah, a delightful spread of local fruits and snacks accompanied by laughter echoing around them as rangers shared stories about their experiences with Tambo over time. Each tale painted a picture of how important he was, not just as an elephant, but as an integral part of their lives. In those moments spent together celebrating Tambo's legacy, Mia felt an overwhelming sense of hope blossom within her heart. They were truly united by purpose. She believed deeply that engaging with local communities, combined with reinforcing their protective measures, would help ensure both Tambo's safety and that of countless other wildlife species inhabiting this sanctuary. Later that evening, as twilight descended upon the reserve, painting it in hues of purple and gold, a gentle breeze rustled through leaves overhead. Mia took a moment to reflect quietly, while standing near the watering hole where they often saw Tambo grazing peacefully. The tribute mural shone brightly under soft lantern light, illuminating stories forged from bravery etched into paint. It conveyed strength found within vulnerability. A powerful reminder inviting all who witnessed it not only celebrate one specific act, but rather honor all acts taken towards protecting nature itself. With renewed determination surging through them, backed by every ranger forming bonds shaped stronger than chains forged in fire, they stood ready together against whatever challenges lay ahead. Because now more than ever, they understood each sunset signified opportunities rising again tomorrow. Illuminating paths revealed through love for life lived side by side alongside extraordinary creatures like Tambo. In the wake of the incident, as Mia and her fellow rangers reflected on Tambo's bravery and the events that had transpired, a deep sense of gratitude and understanding began to emerge within them. The bond they had forged with Tambo was not only about protection, it was a powerful reminder of the symbiotic relationship between humans and nature that needed constant nurturing and respect. Mia sat down with Tom and several other rangers during one of their evening debriefs, surrounded by the soft sounds of crickets chirping in the background. "We witnessed something incredible today," she started, her voice steady yet filled with emotion. "Tambo didn't just save us. He showed us the importance of standing up for what we believe in." The group nodded in agreement, each ranger processing the day's events in their own way. Sarah, who had been passionately crafting the mural to honor Tambo, chimed in. "It's more than just guarding against poachers. It's about understanding our role as protectors of this ecosystem," she said thoughtfully. "Every animal here has a role to play, including us. We need to act like it." As they discussed their experiences, it became clear that teamwork played a vital role in their ability to confront challenges together. The incident had drawn them closer, not just as colleagues, but as friends united by a common cause. They each recounted moments from their training sessions where they had learned to rely on one another during difficult situations. In light of Tambo's brave intervention, those lessons felt more relevant than ever. "Trust is essential," Tom added. "Tambo trusted us to do our part, just as we should trust each other." His words resonated deeply within the group, reinforcing the idea that their success relied not only on individual bravery, but also on collaboration. Mia took a moment to consider how these reflections could extend beyond their immediate team. The knowledge gained from confronting poachers would be critical, not just for them, but for future generations of rangers as well. She envisioned conducting workshops where they could share stories with new recruits about teamwork, respect for nature, and wildlife protection. "Let's turn this experience into lasting change," Mia proposed enthusiastically. "We can develop training modules that incorporate everything we've learned. How to work together effectively while respecting the delicate balance of nature." Excitement filled the air at the prospect of empowering others with these lessons. They discussed strategies for conveying messages about conservation and teamwork during community outreach programs as well, spreading awareness about the significance of wildlife preservation beyond just their reserve. As days turned into weeks following Tambo's heroic act, Mia noticed an increased sense of vigilance among her fellow rangers. They regularly patrolled areas where poaching activity had been reported, while frequently checking in on Tambo and his herd, ensuring that they remained safe from harm. The mural Sarah designed stood proudly at headquarters, a vivid portrayal filled with color and life depicting Tambo charging against threats while embodying strength and courage. Each time Mia passed by it, she felt inspired anew. It served as both a reminder of past struggles faced together and motivation for future endeavors. In time, word spread beyond their immediate community about Tambo's bravery and how it highlighted important lessons regarding wildlife protection. Local villagers began attending ranger-led sessions, designed to foster deeper connections between humans and nature. Learning why elephants like Tambo were critical for maintaining healthy ecosystems, from these interactions emerged understanding, a realization that all creatures have value and contribute uniquely toward sustaining life itself. It became clear that protecting wildlife was not merely an isolated effort. Rather, it meant working collaboratively across communities where knowledge could transform lives. On one particularly memorable day, under a bright blue sky dotted with fluffy clouds, the Rangers organized an event inviting local families to participate in fun activities focused on conservation education. This gathering allowed everyone involved to better understand biodiversity, while strengthening ties forged through shared experiences, as laughter mingled with moments spent learning among children playing games themed around wildlife safety. The importance of respecting nature echoed within every heart gathered there. Each lesson learned transformed into opportunities blossoming forth like flowers, blooming amid sunlit fields, filling life-filled spaces embraced by unity, found through caring hearts determined never to waver when challenged ahead. Through reflection upon courage shown by giants like Tambo and unwavering bonds forged amongst dedicated stewards, they understood more clearly than ever. Protecting nature wasn't just an action. It was an enduring commitment woven deeply into everyday lives, lived beside extraordinary beings, shimmering brightly throughout wild paradises, still longing eternally for guardians ready enough. Hearts illuminated alongside love, shared continuously thriving against time. As the days turned into weeks, following Tambo's courageous act, it became increasingly clear how one single event had the power to transform the relationship between humans and wildlife for the better. The bravery displayed by the majestic bull elephant not only safeguarded Mia and Tom, but ignited a passion within the Rangers that spread beyond their immediate circle. The Rangers began to reflect on Tambo's actions as a symbol of hope, a living testament that both humans and animals could coexist peacefully, provided there was a commitment to protect one another. Each time they gathered to patrol the reserve, they felt a renewed sense of purpose, understanding that their efforts could yield tangible changes in the ecosystem they cherished. Mia noticed this shift, not just within her team, but also in the local communities surrounding the reserve. Inspired by Tambo's bravery, many villagers began to engage with ranger-led conservation programs that focused on wildlife protection and education. They learned how vital elephants were to their environment, not merely as magnificent creatures, but as keystones in maintaining balanced ecosystems. More families started attending community events centered around wildlife safety, and schools incorporated environmental education into their curriculums. Children painted murals depicting elephants in their habitats and shared stories about Tambo's heroic stand against poachers, creating a cultural narrative that fostered respect for wildlife. It was heartwarming to see young ones running around, laughing and learning while developing an understanding of their role in protecting nature. Mia found herself increasingly involved in these outreach efforts, leading workshops where she shared personal experiences regarding her bond with Tambo and how it deepened her commitment to conservation. She spoke passionately about teamwork and respect for nature, emphasizing how every individual has a role in protecting the environment. With every session, she witnessed the spark of curiosity and excitement in her audience. It reminded her of why she dedicated her life to this cause. As Tambo continued to roam freely within the sanctuary, he became a living legend, an ambassador for wildlife protection who represented everything the rangers stood for. His presence inspired those around him, serving as a constant reminder that courage isn't just found in humans, but thrives within all beings destined to share this planet. The mural dedicated to Tambo at Ranger headquarters became a gathering point for discussions about wildlife protection and teamwork. It was not just art. It was a beacon of hope illuminating the hearts of those who passed by. Visitors would stop, take pictures, and read about his bravery. Many left with newfound respect for what it meant to live in harmony with nature. As news traveled even further beyond local communities, wildlife enthusiasts began visiting the reserve not only to admire its beauty, but also to learn about the conservation efforts undertaken by Mia and her team. Each visitor brought questions and perspectives that enriched conversations around ecology and preservation. The rangers realized that public awareness was an essential component in their fight against poaching. Every voice raised for conservation could amplify their mission. Reflecting on everything that had transpired, Mia understood that Tambo's actions were more than just a momentary act of bravery. They were part of a larger narrative calling for change. This incident had sparked a movement rooted in love for nature. The connection between humans and wildlife had strengthened considerably. No longer did it exist as mere observation from afar, but rather as an intertwined existence built on mutual respect. That winter, as snow dusted trees around the reserve, a time when animals slowed down and took refuge, Mia stood by as children from nearby villages participated in planting trees along trails frequented by elephants. Each sapling represented hope for future generations, that humans would be stewards of nature rather than its adversaries. The air hummed with laughter as families worked side by side, nurturing not just the land, but also building relationships grounded in shared values of conservation. It was moments like these that highlighted how one extraordinary event could lead to transformative change across communities. Hearts opened through love for life created bonds stronger than any challenges faced ahead. As dusk settled over the land, painted in soft twilight hues, filled with possibilities, the spirit of Tambo resonated deeply within each person, committed to protecting wild places like theirs, united together against challenges looming beyond them. They embraced mentorship roles, guiding future protectors towards pathways illuminated by courage, ignited through inspiring tales told alongside guardians ready enough